Instead of finding something to throw against my wall, I shouted for my assistant, knowing she'd help me see reason and keep me calm. "Kayla!" "I'm coming, geez," she yelled back as she hustled into my office, notebook in hand, and closed the door behind her. "Stop shouting like a crazy person, you'll scare people," she chastised me before asking, "Couch or desk?" The question had become one of our routines, even though I never responded with couch, and she knew it. "Desk," I bit out, annoyed. All 5'2" of her hurried to one of the two chairs opposite of mine and sat, tossing the notebook on top of the aged wood with a loud thud. "What is the matter with you? Why were you yelling?" she asked, and I continued wearing a hole in the floor instead of sitting. "Stop pacing and sit already," she demanded, and instead of glaring at her like I wanted, I begrudgingly moved to my chair. Bossy Kayla had been hired as my assistant 2 years after I started as CEO. She was my 11th hire. We were nearly the same age and had hit it off immediately, even though I'd fought against interviewing her in the first place, and almost had the whole thing called off. I had naively thought that hiring a woman close to my age was a bad idea, but every other experienced assistant before her hadn't worked out, and I found myself growing increasingly desperate. Being the #1 staffing company for high-level executives in New York City, you could imagine how ironic and infuriating it was to not be able to find myself someone worth a damn. I needed someone I felt comfortable with, who understood the way I thought about the business, who I could eventually trust implicitly, and who would make my daily life easier, not more complicated. Basically, I needed an assistant who wasn't hell-bent on screwing her boss, i.e. me. The best part about Kayla was that she had zero interest in me romantically. Trust me, I sensed those kinds of things. And it wasn't that she didn't find me attractive. I knew she did, but that was as far as her feelings for me went. It was the same for me. She was pretty, but I didn't want to sleep with her. I knew how vital she was to my daily operations, and I vowed to never do anything to screw that up. Eventually, a genuine friendship had formed, and I'd found out later, much later, that she wasn't attracted to men at all. She'd started to feel like family after our first year working together, the little sister I never had, who actually did what I told her and let me boss her around. Sometimes. I filled Kayla in on what my mom had just informed me, and she started to laugh hysterically. She sat in front of me, her hand over her stomach, laughing her tiny ass off. "You think it's funny?" "Little bit," she said through her laughter. "Can you be serious for 1 second?" I demanded, and she tried to stop laughing, which only made her laugh harder. I folded my hands on top of my desk and waited while I glared at her. "Stop looking at me like that, or I'll never be able to stop." She pointed at my face, and I started laughing too. Kayla was the only person in the office who could get me to unwind and relax. I appreciated that fact more than I let on. Once we both calmed down, I exhaled a long breath. Can you believe she's doing that? Actually, I can. I knew my face did little to hide my shock. Of all people, I assumed Kayla would be on my side, see things my way, like she usually tended to, and realize just how insane this request was. You can? You have no life outside this office, Joseph. She's your mother. She worries about you. She explained like everyone in the world knew this fact. There's something else, I said. What else could there possibly be? Kayla shrugged at me, still smiling. I told her I was already dating someone. I waited for Kayla to laugh at me again, but she only looked shocked instead, her mouth dropping open. Why would you do that? She sounded exasperated and concerned because she knew that my problem was about to become her problem as well. I panicked, I said, reaching for a pen and tossing it in the air before catching it.